The ground is shaking. Not from thunder. From feet. Too many to count. Too fast to stop. A scream cuts through the noise, then vanishes. Metal slams against metal. Something breaks. Something drops. The air is thick. Dust, sweat, breath pulled in too fast. Someone stumbles. Someone does not get back up. Orders are shouted. Then shouted again. Then swallowed by the roar. A shield splinters. A spear skids across stone. Hands reach for it too late. The line bends. Not breaks. Not yet. Someone laughs. Someone is praying. Someone is already silent. Time stops behaving normally. Seconds stretch. Moments collapse. No one can see the edges anymore. Only what is directly in front of them. Only the next step. The next strike. The next breath if it comes. A horn sounds. Not close. Not far. Is it a signal? Or a warning? Blood darkens the ground beneath bare feet. Not all of it belongs to the enemy. The shouting turns frantic now. Voices cracking. Orders colliding. Someone realizes something is wrong. Terribly wrong. Because the noise isn't fading. It's growing. And whatever is coming next is bigger than anyone here expected. So the question hangs in the air, unanswered. Was this the moment revenge finally arrived? Or the moment everything was lost again? The year sits heavy with consequence. Nothing feels stable anymore. Cities whisper instead of celebrate. Messengers arrive exhausted, carrying news no one wants to hear. The war has stretched longer than promised. Longer than planned. Every victory feels temporary. Every loss feels permanent. The location at the center of this story is not grand at first glance. No towering walls. No legendary monuments. Just ground that armies keep returning to, as if drawn there by unfinished business. Strategically, it matters more than it should. Roads intersect here. Supply routes narrow. Retreat becomes difficult. Control this place and movement slow. Lose it and everything behind it becomes exposed. Fear spreads faster than facts. Rumors travel ahead of soldiers. Some say entire units vanished. Others insist it's exaggeration, panic dressed up as truth. No one knows what to believe anymore. The memory of a recent sacrifice still lingers. Not long ago. Too fresh. A number spoken quietly. 200. Their absence weighs on every decision now. Every commander knows the cost of underestimating the enemy. Every soldier knows bravery alone is not enough. Resources are strained. Morale flickers. Reinforcements arrive, but not all at once. 5,000 sounds like a lot. On paper. But numbers stop feeling comforting when terrain narrows. When visibility drops. When communication fails. The enemy is patient. They have learned. They do not rush anymore. Night brings no relief. Only colder air and sharper fear. There is a sense, unspoken but shared, that something is approaching. Not a single battle. Not a clean clash. Something messier. Something that will not fit neatly into reports or songs. Commanders speak carefully now. They choose words that do not promise too much. Because everyone remembers what happened last time promises were made. And so, under this quiet tension, forces begin to move. Not with confidence. With caution. No one says the word revenge out loud. But it's there. In every tightened grip. In every stare held a second too long. The question is no longer if violence will erupt here. only how much, and who will still be standing when it ends. They are not introduced as heroes. They never are. They are introduced as soldiers. Trained early. Trained hard. Routine shapes their lives. Wake before light. Eat quickly. Train until muscles forget how to complain. Discipline is not optional. It is survival. Every movement has a reason. Every mistake has a consequence. They learn to fight as one body. One shield line. One breath. Individual strength matters less than cohesion. A single step out of place can doom everyone beside you. Rules govern everything. How to speak. When to look away. When not to question. Punishment is swift. Public. Unforgiving. Not because cruelty is valued, but because hesitation is deadly. Emotion is tightly controlled. Fear is acknowledged, but never indulged. They carry memories quietly. The fallen are not discussed openly, but they are never forgotten. Meals are silent. Eyes meet, then drop. Everyone knows why they are here, even if no one says it. The number lingers. 200. Some trained with them. Some marched beside them. Some still expect to see familiar faces in formation. Then remember, anger simmers beneath discipline. Not reckless anger. Focused. They clean their weapons with care. Sharpen edges that don't need sharpening. Not out of necessity, but control. Letters are written. Some are never sent. Sleep comes in fragments. Dreams replay moments that never happened, or moments that almost did. There is pride here, but it is heavy. They are told they are ready. They have always been told that. Yet readiness feels different now. More fragile. The group moves together. Laughs are rare, but not absent. When they come, they are brief. No one asks what comes next, because everyone knows better than to invite an answer. They stand. They wait. And somewhere inside each of them is the same unspoken thought. If this is where it ends, let it mean something. The first sign is silence. Not peaceful silence. Unnatural silence. Scouts return later than expected. Some don't return at all. Signals go unanswered, then acknowledged too slowly. Animals behave strangely. Birds scatter at nothing. Horses refuse to settle. The air feels wrong. Heavy. Campfires burn lower than usual. Fuel is conserved, they say. But no one remembers ordering it. Whispers spread. Quiet conversations cut short when officers pass. Someone swears they saw movement where there should be none. Another insists it was just shadows. Orders change, then change back. Patrol routes are adjusted, then adjusted again. Maps are studied longer than necessary. Fingers tracing paths that feel increasingly unreliable. The night watch reports sounds. Metal scraping stone. Footsteps without rhythm. Nothing is found. No evidence. Just the feeling of being observed. A messenger arrives breathless. Delivers a message. Leaves immediately. No one shares what it said. Equipment fails without explanation. Straps snap. Helmets crack. Minor things, but too many. Sleep becomes impossible, even for those off duty. The darkness feels closer now, as if it's leaning in. Then comes the delay. An order that should arrive doesn't. Minutes stretch. Eyes turn toward the horizon. Someone laughs nervously. No one joins. The sense grows stronger. This is not coincidence. Something is being prepared, carefully, and whatever it is waiting for the right moment. It begins without warning. No declaration. No signal everyone understands. Just motion. Sudden. Overwhelming. Sound erupts from every direction. Shouts overlap. Orders collide. The ground vibrates again. Closer now. The formation tightens instinctively. Shields rise. Feet dig in. Visibility collapses. Dust. Smoke. Movement everywhere. Someone falls. Someone pulls them up. Someone else disappears entirely. The noise becomes unbearable. Metal ringing. Feet pounding. No one can tell where the center is anymore. Time fractures. Moments blur. You move because the person beside you moves. You stop because the line stops. A horn sounds again. This time unmistakably wrong. The formation shifts too late. Pressure builds. From the sides. From behind. Not chaos. Coordination. Then something changes. The noise drops. Abruptly. As if a hand has been placed over the world's mouth. People look around confused. Where did everyone go? Shadows retreat. Footsteps fade. Only the aftermath remains. Broken equipment. Scattered shields. Too much empty space. Names are called. Once. Twice. No answers. The silence stretches. And then nothing. The response begins before anyone fully understands what has happened. Commands are issued quickly, almost reflexively. Horn signals echo across the terrain, sharp and urgent. Units that were meant to rotate or rest are redirected without explanation. No one says the word lost. Not yet. Search formations move outward in widening arcs. Methodical. Careful. Too careful for what this feels like. The ground tells a partial story. Scuffed earth. Broken straps. A shield half buried where no one remembers dropping it. But there is no trail. No clear direction. Footprints appear, then abruptly stop. As if the men simply stepped out of the world. Officers kneel to examine the signs. They exchange looks, not words. Whatever they expected to find, this isn't it. Roll calls are attempted. Names shouted into open air. Once, then again. Some answers come back shaky. Others never come at all. The silence between responses grows heavier than the noise of battle ever was. Scouts are sent farther than planned. Beyond safe limits. Beyond mapped ground. They return with nothing new. Only the same uneasy feeling, multiplied. Interrogations begin quietly. Not brutal. Not theatrical. Just persistent. Where were you positioned? Who gave the last order you heard? What direction did the sound come from? Stories overlap, but never align. One soldier insists the line held. Another swears it folded instantly. A third remembers a signal that no one else heard. Timelines fracture under scrutiny. Minutes stretch into contradictions. Reports are drafted, then amended. Language is softened. Certainty is removed. Phrases like believed to have and possibly repositioned appear where clarity should be. Certain details are marked unnecessary. Certain names are excluded. No one explains why. Sections of the area are suddenly restricted. Guards are posted where no threat is visible. Movement is monitored. Those who ask questions are redirected. Told to focus on their duties. Privately, officers meet longer than usual. Maps are spread out, routes traced and retraced. Someone points to a location that should explain everything. It doesn't. Supply logs are checked, signals reviewed, messengers questioned again. Nothing accounts for the scale of the disappearance. And yet, no official announcement is made. No admission of failure. No declaration of loss. Just a quiet adjustment of numbers. The missing are listed as unaccounted for. Not fallen. Not captured. Unaccounted. A word that explains nothing and protects everyone above it. Rumors spread despite strict discipline. Some claim survivors were seen moving away under guard. Others whisper of an encirclement never recorded. None of it is confirmed. Those closest to the incident are reassigned, separated, moved to different units, not as punishment, but as precaution. Records from the day are finalized faster than usual. Sealed, stored. Later attempts to review them encounter gaps. Pages missing. Entries shortened. The event is officially concluded without resolution. Training resumes. Orders continue. But something has shifted. Men stand a little farther apart. Eyes linger longer on the dark. Because the investigation did not bring answers. It only revealed how carefully some truths were avoided. And the question that no report dares to ask remains unanswered. If an army cannot explain what happened to its own, what else has been quietly erased along with them? When official explanations fail, stories begin to grow in the empty space they leave behind. Not wild stories at first. Measured once. Careful theories shaped by fragments, whispers, and what little survived on record. None are ever endorsed. None are ever fully denied. They circulate quietly, pass between veterans, hinted at in private briefings, buried beneath careful language. This theory suggests precision rather than chaos. That the enemy anticipated every movement. That routes were mapped, timings predicted, and responses delayed on purpose. According to this view, the incident was not a clash, but a collapse. The formation was allowed to advance just far enough, then closed in from multiple directions. Supporters of this theory point to the silence, the sudden drop in sound, the lack of pursuit afterward. They argue this was intentional. Why chase what has already been neutralized? But the theory fractures under one problem. Such coordination would require detailed knowledge of signals, rotations, and command habits. Information that should have been impossible to obtain, unless it came from inside. No evidence confirms this. No documents support it. And so the theory lingers. Efficient, logical, and deeply unsettling. This explanation is less dramatic and more uncomfortable. It claims the disaster was born from hesitation. A delayed order. A misread signal. A moment where caution replaced decisiveness. Supporters cite conflicting timelines and revised reports. They note how often language was softened. Unclear. Possibly. Believed to be. All words that appear when responsibility becomes dangerous. But this theory struggles to account for scale. Mistakes cause losses, but rarely vanishings. No single command error explains why the ground tells so little. Why bodies, equipment, and witnesses do not align. If this was merely failure, why seal the files? Why move those closest to it? The theory answers some questions, but raises more than it resolves. This is the theory spoken in the lowest voice. It suggests the enemy did not guess. They were told that guides led soldiers into terrain that favored ambush, that signals were redirected, that certain individuals disappeared at the exact right moment. Proponents point to missing names in the records, to messengers who were reassigned and never mentioned again. They ask why some survived unharmed while others vanished entirely. But betrayal requires proof, and proof is exactly what is absent. Every trail stops just short of confirmation, and accusing one of betrayal without evidence is itself a crime. So the theory remains unspoken officially, alive only in rumor and implication. The final theory is the most disturbing because it offers no narrative at all. It suggests the truth was known and deliberately erased, that the outcome did not fit honor, morale, or strategy, that recording it would have caused more damage than forgetting it. Advocates of this idea point to sealed archives, to inconsistent casualty counts, to the speed with which the investigation ended. They argue that history sometimes chooses silence over accuracy. No victory, no defeat, just omission. This theory cannot be proven, but it cannot be dismissed either, because what survives in history is rarely everything that happened. In the end, none of the theories stand alone. Each explains something. Each fails somewhere else. And perhaps that is the point. The truth may not belong to any single version, but to the gaps between them, which leaves us with an unsettling realization. If every explanation was incomplete by design, what part of the story was never meant to be known at all? In the end, there is no revelation, no recovered message, no final testimony that ties the story together. What remains is absence. The records stop abruptly, as if the past itself decided not to continue. Names are preserved, but details are not. Numbers remain, but without explanation. Official accounts move on quickly. New campaigns begin. New victories are celebrated. Yet this moment lingers quietly beneath all of it. Those who were present carry it differently, not as a story to be told, but as something felt. A hesitation before speaking. A pause when certain places are mentioned. Time passes. Generations repeat what little is known. The rest is guessed. Perhaps the truth was too complex to survive, or too damaging, or too human. History often prefers clean endings, clear heroes, clear villains. This story offers none of that. If revenge was delivered, it was not complete. If justice was achieved, it was not recorded. What survives instead is the shadow of a question. Were the fallen truly avenged? Or were they simply added to a silence that had already begun with the 200 before them? Even now, interpretations differ. Some see strategy. Some see sacrifice. Some see failure carefully disguised as honor. And perhaps that is why the truth never surfaced. Because once written, it could not be controlled. So it remains unwritten, left to those who listen closely, to those who read between missing lines. And now to you. If you had been there, if you had seen what was erased, what do you think really happened? Share your theory below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and press the bell icon for more shocking modern hidden history stories. Share your theory in the comments. The next story will be even darker.